Hello, welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. Today we have a returning guest, Sara Thornhill, and she is returning to the show to celebrate Pride with us. She is going to be sharing a little bit about her coming out story, and we just kind of very casually talked about her story and then bits and pieces of her story that came up. We talked about those topics, things like meditation and healing. And yeah, it was very beautiful. And I also just wanted to include a little trigger warning where Sara talks briefly about being sexually assaulted. She doesn't go into detail, however, but if you are in a position in your like in a chapter of your life where you don't have the capacity to hear about that, maybe bookmark this episode and come back to it later. So this episode and this Pride Month is really just about handing the mic over to the LGBTQIA plus community and hearing important topics that the community needs to hear about and even allies can hear about to have more compassion and acceptance and be more inclusive. And also hearing things like coming out stories. So I hope that you enjoy this one. Go ahead and grab something cozy to drink, like some hot tea. I should also probably read out Sara's intro. Okay, Sara Thornhill of Sara Webb Says, she recently changed her name. So Sara Thornhill of Sara Webb Says is a master meditation coach and founder of Queer Calm Collective. Sara activates and empowers the LGBTQIA plus community to heal stress, anxiety, and depression. Certified in NLP, trauma, and relationship attachment, Sara specializes in helping clients uncover their innate ability to thrive by addressing the underlying causes of emotional struggles and showing them how to revive their inner power. Sara teaches pocket-sized techniques her clients can use anywhere to process stress and improve daily happiness so that they can bring the best versions of themselves to their own lives. She passionately believes that healing is a birthright, asserting that a life of thrive is possible for everyone regardless of circumstances. Sara resides in sunny Florida with her resplendent wife and travels internationally for workshops and speaking engagements. Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. On this show, we talk about self-love, sexuality, relationship tips, including ending the cycle of toxic relationships, and healing and thriving after heartbreak. Hi, I'm your host, Celia, and I am a certified sex, love, and relationship coach, helping ambitious women with a history of toxic relationships feel deeply connected in healthy love. These are such important topics that every woman deserves, so if you could leave this show a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to help more women find this, it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being here today. Now let's dive into the show. Yeah, to orient you to today, I really had the intention of this being a celebration of Pride Month and whatever you desire to share in terms of topics that you think are important to talk about to bring more compassion and acceptance to the LGBTQIA plus community. And I know we also talked about sharing your coming out story. If you feel comfortable sharing that, I would love to hear that. And before we dive in as well, I just love to know, what are you coming in with? What's alive within you? What's on your heart today? All those things.
Well, I'm rebranding and kind of duplicating everything. I have a new Instagram that's inclusive. And I have a new YouTube, and I'm just, because 95% of my clients right now, my private clients are straight, and
Interesting.
So I'm still going to keep, I only have like, I don't know, 75 followers on my YouTube that's Queer Calm Collective. I've got 8 or 9,000 on my Queer Calm Collective Instagram, but this Pranatova is my healing center that's going to be pop up for now. And so that's really what I'm coming in with, is bringing this inclusivity to what I do. I know that we're supposed to niche, but this is what's coming to me from the goddesses, is that I need to not niche so much. I'm going to run them in tandem.
Mm.
So, tag the Queer Calm Collective, like, let's keep with everything that you have for this episode. But I'm starting to really, like, I'm offering desk yoga on Mondays for everyone. And I'm just starting to, like, when I first started coaching, it was about meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like I'm coming
Back full circle.
back to just like meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being, I mean, of course, with the heartbreak healing, it's, that's what we use. That's just the modality.
Yeah.
It's just the problem is different. So I'm really talking more about anxiety as the problem, which heartbreak is just intense anxiety. And when we have too much anxiety, that leads to depression. So you know that.
It sounds like you still have a niche. Just what's changing perhaps might be like the type of people that you bring the niche to. Does that sound true?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Niching is a hard one because sometimes like we don't realize that we have a niche, even though we do. Like we feel like, oh, I'm being so general with my meditation on anxiety when like that's a niche.
Right. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I struggled with as well. And I took a certification that I recently completed on sex, love, and relationships. And then when we got to the business portion, like me and a lot of my peers were like, how do we niche? Without realizing that like sex, love, and relationships is already a niche. So like it's okay if you don't super niche down from there, at least when you start. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where shall we begin with today's queer celebration? Would you like to share your coming out story and how you discovered this piece of your identity?
Sure. I mean,
Yeah? Okay.
it's kind of ugly, but yeah.
Okay. Do you feel safe to share it?
Yeah, I do speak disparagingly about my parents on podcasts, flippantly and quickly. This will go more into detail about their absolute rejection of me, and I've done that some. So, it makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay. Okay. So where
Yeah.
would you like to start? Maybe starting with like the first memory you have of where you maybe felt like there was something different about you.
Beautiful. Yes. I remember that. Yeah. Can do.
Okay. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. I just want to ask the goddesses and all my spirit guides and angels and all the angels and spirit guides of Celia's fantastic following and anyone who needs to hear this message. I just want to ask for the right words to say. My intention is just to speak from the heart so that we can expand collective consciousness. This is not about self-promotion. This is about worldwide healing. Yeah. Thank you.
I love that. And you sharing your story, it's about worldwide healing. I love that so much.
Stories are what people remember, right? Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Yeah. I don't have like a specific question to start us off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just go. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Just be in the flow and I'll have questions that will pop up along the way. Probably. So,
Most people don't realize that coming out isn't a singular event. As queer people, we're constantly coming out of the closet. Yeah, I came out of the closet to my parents, and it took me a few years to actually come out of the closet to the world, making it Facebook or Instagram official. But when I came out to my parents, They wholeheartedly rejected me, told me that it was a choice and that I'm going to get back together with my ex-husband because in 2019, got a divorce, came out of the closet, and also stopped drinking.
Mm.
I started stopping drinking in 2018, but it took a little while for me to actually kick the habit. And so it was all intertwined because I recognized as I was getting a divorce and as I was stopping drinking, it was really, let me start over there. I recognized as I started to get sober in 2018 that I did not want to be intimate with my now ex-husband.
Mm. Yeah.
And that wasn't a person specific thing. That was an appendage specific thing. I just didn't want to be with men. I mean, I always dated men who were more feminine, and I still date women who are more masculine, just tending toward the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
I've always felt like I was pansexual. I remember vividly when I was 6 or 7 years old, my mom was brushing my hair in the morning, was getting ready for school. And I said, can I become a boy? Can people change? Can a boy become a girl? And can a girl become a boy? And of course, this was the 80s. And sure, there were trans people out there, but it certainly wasn't in the news or as prevalent or as widely accepted as it is today. And my mom said, of course not. No, you're a girl and you'll always be a girl. While my wife tells me that I have got some serious masculine swagger, and not just when I'm wearing a dildo and in the bedroom. I mean, she says, when I strap on, I immediately have a more masculine dominant presence. But I feel like I feel like I have very feminine mannerisms. My wife disagrees with me. However, I think that I probably would have transitioned if I weren't so much this way, just because when I am wearing a penis, I'm like, oh, there it is.
You can like play with both sides. Is that what you're
Absolutely.
saying? That you
Absolutely.
get to embody both sides. Yeah.
I feel so blessed that I was born a woman because being a woman is this really amazing identity. And on top of that, I get to be a mom, and the experience of carrying a human being in your body, no matter what that birthing experience is like. I gave birth in a birthing center with no drugs, and that whole experience of birthing and nursing and just the identity of being a mother is such an amazing experience. And I also get to embody some of these masculine characteristics. I was a single mom for a while, so I was both mom and dad. And my wife took my last name. So I get to experience that persona as well of stepping into that 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 genre of humanity in so many delicious ways. And I didn't come out of the closet for decades. I
Yeah.
called
And it was
myself
so recent. 2019 was very recent.
it
I didn't realize how
was.
recent it was.
Well, that's when I finally came out. I knew I was gay in 2000, or I called myself bisexual. I had my first sexual experience with a woman in 1999, 2000. I'm not sure if it was December or January, so it was right around then. I was a freshman in college, and I knew that I was not straight. And so I called myself bisexual for a long time, dated primarily women. Most of my experiences were with women, and even did some playing with, I guess, the swinging lifestyle, even before I knew what it was, because I had a boyfriend back in 2000 who didn't care if I slept with women. He just didn't want me to sleep with other men. So when I discovered I was bisexual, I guess you could say that. Whenever I discovered that, I told my sister and my brother, and they were like, well, are you going to tell mom and dad? Are you going to come out? And I'm like, no, I didn't tell them when I started sleeping with boys. Why would I tell them that I'm sleeping with girls? They're not going to like that. Premarital sex was taboo.
So they're
And
religious.
yeah, so
Yeah.
why would
Okay.
I share that,
Yeah. Yeah.
And true to form. So I dated mostly women. And then when it came to wanting to procreate, I just knew that they would not accept me marrying a woman and IVF and all that. I mean, that was in the early aughts when, sure, there were queer couples who were having surrogates and using IVF, but I just, in Southern Louisiana, and at the time I was in Texas, I knew that was not going to fly with my family. So
Yeah.
I went squarely back into the closet and pretended to be straight.
Mm.
And
And
thank
did that
goodness.
cause you to like forget? Was it because
No.
you also mentioned that like as you became sober, you realized that there wasn't that attraction to your ex. So like I wonder if that going back in the closet happened for such a long time that even you yourself forgot who you were. Like if you had that psychological experience.
No way. Especially once I had a couple glasses of wine, I would regularly flirt with women. My ex-husband would be like, you told that woman while you were drunk off your ass that you wanted to grab her vagina. Or that I can't remember exactly what it was, that I like tried to grab somebody or like told her that she had great boobs. I don't know, but I would regularly embarrass him because I would overtly flirt with women when I was intoxicated. And I suppressed it very well, but there was no more suppressing it. And I've been on your podcast before and shared most likely that when I was 28 years old, I was raped by 8 men.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonder that that experience didn't really make me think about how I wanted my sex parts to be used.
Mm-hmm.
But I just drank more. I just shoved it
Yeah.
down. I didn't go to therapy. I didn't go to the cops. I didn't tell anybody and just denied it. So when I finally came out of the closet to my parents and my family, my brother and sister were very welcoming and accepting, not so much about the divorce, but about my sexuality, they were. And then they kind of understood. But yeah, when I came out to the world on Instagram/Facebook, it was generally a really warm reception. I had a few nasty comments, but generally it was amazing. And that wasn't until 2021
Okay.
that I did that. So it
Nice.
was like after I turned 40,
Okay.
very different experience.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing so like vulnerably as well. Just want to honor what you've been through and thank you for sharing so openly. And I love that you have siblings that are very open and welcoming. That's very helpful when you have parents who you don't have that same relationship with, that you can at least have siblings who, get it and have that same experience, that same shared experience of like having had the same upbringing as you or lived in the same household as you. Um, yeah, speaking as someone who also has siblings, I don't know where I would be without them. So I'm glad that you had that and that you had those close relationships to be able to come out to and be like embraced in that. Yeah. I'm curious too, how was your relationship to yourself like this entire time? Like maybe starting in college when you had that first sexual experience with a woman and you were like, oh, I am definitely not straight. What was your relationship with yourself? Like, how was your relationship with yourself affected by that realization?
It's a really great introspective question. I was raised inadvertently by my parents, but I have a surrogate mother, I call her, who
Mm-hmm.
was like our nanny.
Okay.
And she affected me more than my parents in some ways. And she was and is, I trust that she'll never hear this. I would never say her name, but a very negative person. So my relationship to self was poor because that
Mm.
voice inside my head was not very kind. And I have worked very hard to change those automatic subconscious thoughts with meditation, with subconscious reprogramming, with, neurolinguistic programming. And so my relationship to self was not healthy, period. And I was very selective with who I told that I was bisexual, obviously, because it was Southern Louisiana, Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Chances are they're not going to be very accepting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was right most of the time. But the relationship to self improved so much when I started meditating 9 years ago.
I'll do
Literally,
it.
it's the definition of meditation is spending time with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter what, we're observing thoughts. No matter what kind of meditation, we are unintentionally or intentionally sometimes observing our thoughts. Even if it's guided meditation, we start to think about the to-do list, something distracts us. We start to go down a little rabbit hole based off of something that's said in the guided meditation. And over time, we start to notice whether we live in the past or the future, whether that voice inside the head is kind or whether it talks to us in our voice, or maybe an angry aunt's voice, or a bully from the playground or middle school. Gosh, middle school. those things. I tell my daughter all the time. I'm programming my daughter. We're all programming kids, but I have a certain set of things that I tell her every week. And one of those is don't take things that other people say to you and repeat them to yourself inside your head. Because we will.
Yeah. Unless they're nice things.
Exactly. But because of the negativity bias that neuroscientists have, we have this negativity bias that's trying to keep us safe, trying to protect us from invaders and looking for all the problems. So yeah, we will tend to repeat the things that are unsavory.
So if you started meditating 9 years ago and you fully came out in 2019, that means that you started your meditation practice 4 years before that ish?
Well, it was mid 2016 when I learned.
Okay.
I was 5 months pregnant. So 3 months later, my life changed drastically. No one can prepare you. People are like, oh, life is going to change. All these people who see you're pregnant, they're like, oh, she has no idea what's going to hit her. So that time of being a new mom goes by so slowly and so quickly. And I continued to meditate just for stress relief. But I don't know how much work was going on as far as I did notice that I couldn't, because I was sober for pregnancy for the first time, for pregnancy. And then I was sober breastfeeding and continuing to meditate. And those memories of what happened and me not, it was very gentle, but I knew I had not dealt with it.
Of your sexual abuse?
With the sexual abuse. Yeah.
Okay.
The rape. I did have sexual abuse perpetrated by somebody in the home when I was very young as well, that I didn't even really fully discover until I was trying to figure out where this anger was coming from once I got sober. And I found those memories in hypnotherapy of being sexually abused as a child. So really the rape was like a reenactment. It's the subconscious drawing to itself what it knows.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was, I guess, 2.5, 3 years until I finally came out of the closet, got sober, and did all that stuff. Yeah. 2 years until I started to try to stop drinking. But I had stopped drinking, and it was just that once I started drinking again when I could, I noticed that once you pop, you can't stop. I couldn't just have one.
And before you didn't notice that you were like that? Was it that you had more awareness to be like, oh shit, this once you pop, you can't stop is happening. Is that a Pringles slogan, by the way?
A very old one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take us back to the 90s.
They're getting you addicted to those chips. It's true, though. They must put something in the salt. It's something about the way that salt hits your tongue. Gotta have another one. Did know, Celia, but there was a moment when my daughter was 18 months old, thereabouts. We were at a party, friend's party, and she picked up this little toy chalice. It had jewels on it,
What's a
like a
challenge?
Mardi Gras cup or like a king's chalice, tiny little play one. And she said, "This my wine."
At 18 months?
And it was like somebody hit me in the gut. I was like, what am I showing my daughter to do? And that's when I started stopping. That's when I was like, okay, I don't want her to end up like me. It was like it was okay for me to do it, but I don't want to perpetuate that. I don't want to show her that that's a way to be or a thing to do. And it's such a cultural thing for a mom. This is mommy juice. I deserve this. I'm stressed. You see t-shirts and bumper stickers
Yes.
and
There's so much
memes.
wine culture around mommy blogging. Yeah.
Yeah, coffee, wine.
Yes.
Dehydration. I mean, it's not
Drinking
helping
water.
us in any way. Speaking of the water, right? Yeah, they're both diuretics.
Yeah.
So we would go between those. I actually didn't drink coffee until she was 2 years old. Anyway, yes, the denial. We know that most of our thoughts are subconscious and that we're taking in 93 to 97% of the information that we're getting subconsciously, even up to 99%. People say like that we've got all these billions of bits of data. I mean, this is what science says. Billions of bits of data. We're taking in millions of bits of data per second, but the vast majority is coming in through the subconscious. And so we might even respond to somebody subconsciously just because we're somewhat distracted. We drive consciously slash subconsciously. We slip into those meditative states when we're driving or washing
scares
dishes.
the shit out of me.
It shouldn't
When I'm
scare
driving,
you.
there's like fiery car crashes happening in my head, and I'm like, okay, I'm like paying attention.
Gosh,
I hate
don't let
driving.
yourself think about that.
I hate driving. Yeah.
I don't love it either. I really like to live in cities with public transportation. I don't right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, driving is definitely not my favorite thing. I'm okay with being a passenger.
Yeah. It's also, I think, like a different experience in other countries.
Yes.
I went to Europe last winter, and like on the freeway, people will only pass you on the left and they'll go slow on the right. That kind of happens in like middle of America too. I remember I was driving through Kansas and like no one was passing you on the right. Like everyone was like following that rule. But yeah, we're going off topic. Like we're talking about driving.
Well, it shouldn't scare you
Yeah.
because I guarantee you that if something were to come across your field of vision or some emergency were to occur, you would immediately snap out of that trance that you're in. Same thing with hypnotherapy or, those suggestions that those hypnotists that bring people on stage and have them do crazy things, those people are, yes, they're being hypnotized, but it's really not against their will. There's a lot that I could go into, but like you're safe. Trust me, you're not going to, unless you're looking down at your phone or, that's distracted
I would
driving. But
never.
if you're looking at where you're supposed to be looking and just going into that thought mode, you're just going into alpha brainwaves where you're not in the car anymore. You're somewhere else. You're thinking about someone or about an event or planning something or reminiscing. You're still very present. And if something were to occur, you'd fully come back to consciousness. So don't worry.
Thank you for that. I need that here in the streets of Los Angeles because the freeways here are absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the part of your story we were on was like stopping drinking and starting a meditation practice in, I think you said 2017?
So I started, 2016 is when
2016.
I started meditating when I was pregnant.
Okay.
I learned when I was 5 months pregnant. And gosh, that helped me so much with being a new mom.
I
Just
bet. Yeah. My best friend just had a baby like 3 weeks ago, and she's like, I'm getting used to not having time to myself. Like, she's like, she's in the thick of the newborn phase right now.
yeah, poor baby, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a life or death situation for the relationship, for the child. Like,
Yeah.
literally, the child would not survive. It's such a survival
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
especially those first 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't know if I ever want to experience that. So I very much just like celebrate and honor you, and especially like what you shared earlier about that memory of when your daughter was 18 months old and she had the little chalice and she was like, this is my wine. And like having that realization of like, I'm not going to pass this shit on. The realization is just the first step. Like just having the realization doesn't mean you're going to stop, that you're not going to pass that thing on. Like the next step is like actually doing that work. And I can see that you've done that work and just want to celebrate and honor that. And also thank you, because as a mom, like you guys create the next adults in society. So when a mom recognizes like, oh, I don't want to pass this on and does the work for that, like that is literally bettering society, in my humble opinion.
I received this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
She was my mom in another life. This little child. My
Aw.
gosh. One time when she was 3 or 4 years old, I was playing some game with her and like trying to record it with my phone. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, put your phone down. And I was like, oh, I just got told what to do. It was this moment where I was like, she was definitely my mom in another life. That was something.
Yeah.
And she's delivered messages. I think it was an angelic message. Some being spoke through her one night as she was almost asleep. And I was standing there dumbfounded, like, I wish somebody else was in the room to verify what just happened. It was her voice, but there was no way she could know that information that I had shared with no one. She gave me advice because I was about to make a decision and take action when she was asleep. And she told me not to.
How weird.
It was creepy. Yeah. Yeah, she's definitely a highly vibrating little indigo child.
What was it like going through this journey of like coming out and going through divorce and then getting into a marriage with a woman now? What was it like to, like, what did that bring into your relationship with your daughter? If you feel comfortable sharing.
I do.
Yeah.
I love that my daughter gets to see a lot of different aspects of how you can choose to live your life. I share her with my now ex-husband. Unfortunately, 50% of the time, I wish it was more that I got. And he's not aware or awake or a meditator, or he did learn to meditate. He rejected it. And she gets to decide if she wants to be open and vulnerable. And she knows all about, I mean, we have gone to pride events, the tame ones. And she knows what trans people are. So it really, in answer to your question, the difference in the relationship that I have with her, I think it's opened a lot of doors for me to be able to talk about, well, heartbreak. She knows what I do. And to be sure, I've been engaged 4 times, married 3 times, and divorced twice. I got remarried to a woman and then divorced a couple of years later, unfortunately. I'm now remarried to a woman, happily remarried. And this is it. 3rd time's the charm.
Yay.
This is it. We're in it to win it. And she's had the opportunity to experience a blended family because my ex-wife had children. And now she gets double the fun because she has two moms.
Yeah, that must be fun as a kid to like get a bonus mom when like you already have a mom. Yeah, that sounds fun.
I'm actually mom number 2 and my wife is mom number 1, if you can believe that. That's just what she's called us. But I'm mommy when she hurts herself, when she wants comfort, and I understand, you know. And I'm a coach. I get down on her level and say like, you're feeling frustrated right now. So I think it's really cool that she gets to see what it's like to be in relationship with different people. You know, one of the main reasons why I didn't stick it out with my ex-husband was because I'm gay. And even if I weren't gay, I didn't want to stay in that relationship because I didn't want to show her that that's what love is. Because it wasn't loving. There wasn't the amount of affection. There wasn't the communication that I need and want. Like, I don't want to speak disparagingly about anyone, but I could tell some stories about lack of communication. And that doesn't have a place in a relationship if we can't just like let each other know when we're going to go on a business trip by forwarding an email. Hey, I'm going to be out of town. Instead of the day before, like, oh, I'm going to be out of town when we have a baby at home.
Yeah, that's
unthinkable. And I don't know if it's, who knows what kind of extenuating circumstances are going on in that arena. I don't know anymore, but we communicate very well now.
Well, that's great.
Because it's all about, it's all about her and it's all for her benefit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that I was as a postpartum woman I had postpartum depression. I didn't know it. I didn't even know that I could get help for it. I just knew that I was very unhappy, very depressed. And talk about not having any time to yourself. I mean, you know, to have gone through your whole life and be able to like go get a pedicure whenever you want, or just all your freedom is gone and it's all about the child. And I think that's what all gay people are looking for, is that freedom. I want to live in a world where I don't need to come out of the closet.
Yeah.
Where if I say my wife, people don't do a double take and say, you're what?
Yeah.
I've seen that so often because I don't present as, you know, look gay necessarily.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. Exactly. Oh, I've had so many, but you don't look gay. I'm like,
what does that mean? Like, you have to have a buzzed head or what? Yeah, you know, as someone who like just went through a sexuality coaching training, I've really come to realize how the whole like heterosexual plus monogamous version of sexuality is so conditioned in everyone as like, this is the way to do sexuality right, but it's not true. And it's not like, there's so much more complexity, so many more multifacets that you're right. We should live in a society where like a woman who has a wife can say, my wife, without anyone doing a double take. Like, it should be normal that we shouldn't assume anything about people.
I agree.
But the only reason that exists is because a long time ago that was created to control people and to make them predictable and to sell shit to us and all the things.
And pride started as a riot. We know that. And guess what? It might be this year. There may be some riots because LGBTQ rights are being stripped in certain places. And we know that that's a rubber band effect. We know that that's because there's been so much progress. That a lot of people are upset about it and trying to pull things back. If you look to history, Germany was about to legalize gay marriage when Hitler came into power.
And now Germany
then.
is so open-minded.
So open and liberal. Like you can't.
So open-minded. Yeah.
Yeah. And so guess what? It's kind of like when you see that blight in a downtown area and you know it's ripe for those developers to come in. And that's what this is causing. It's an uprising. People are coming together. It's so beautiful. And people are leaving the country. Lots of people are leaving the country.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. I know a couple of people who are moving to New Zealand. Well, I think that's a beautiful note to end on, like reminding us about the history of Germany. Like that's like, thank you for bringing that in. I think that's beautiful and a great reminder. And I'll just ask you one question. I usually ask a set of questions to everyone at the end, but I want to bring one in. And I've asked you this before, but maybe your answer is different. What does self-love mean to you?
Listening to your body no matter what. Your body knows. You can tap into the cells of your body. And so we know when we should or shouldn't people please, say yes to a proposition. And when we really love ourselves, there is no denying what we know on a cellular level. So it's just listening, that deep listening. And that comes from spending time with yourself, getting to know yourself, sitting in meditation. I probably said that meditation is self-love. And they're all deeply intertwined because we can get to know ourselves, get to know our thoughts, get to know our proclivities, the good, the bad, and the ugly. When we sit and listen and just observe, that's how we become the witness. And then the love just compounds. It's like I always tell my clients to keep a little picture of themselves when they were a kid, because this is the itty bitty shitty committee here.
Yeah, we talked about this last
But yeah,
time.
it's really the
I
kid
think we both shared our kid pictures.
Yeah, so every time we listen to our bodies, listen to what we know innately, that kid is like, oh, she's paying attention to me so much. You know, it's this little kid is like, thank you.
Let me see your picture again. So cute.
Pretty beat up. We did one with my daughter with the same bear. Here, I've got it right here. She was a little bit older than I was.
Do you want this picture shared in the recording, by the way?
Maybe not.
Okay,
but
so I'll cut it out. Cut this
she's
part
older.
out. Cool. I'm just saying that because it does a transcript and I could just search, cut this part out.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah, she's a couple
Very
years
cute.
old. But still have the bear. And I have cried into that bear. This bear. I have cried into this bear.
It's the same bear. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Sweet
That's
babies.
beautiful.
Sweet babies. Yeah. We love it. We just love on that little kid self.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's how it.
For the people who have listened, where can they connect with you? How can they find out more about you? And where should they go next if they're feeling your vibe?
SaraThornhill.com. SARA. Thorn like on a rose, hill like not a mountain.com. Pranatova is my Instagram. Queer Calm Collective is my more LGBTQ focused Instagram. Same thing on YouTube. Pranatova and Queer Calm Collective. I have lots of meditations and desk yoga and webinars out there. And I would love to connect with anybody who wants to be more centered in their heart and live from that heart-centered space of clarity. Because that's what it's all about, just loving on that baby self and saying, hey, the adults are here now. And I get to tap in and figure out how to move forward just by listening.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Thank you.